This is not your average day at the office.
We're at 300 feet. This is our location. We're being tracked by one of the most deadly surface-to-air missiles in the world. And I knew it was against the rules of engagement. It wasn't allowed to happen, but it was happening. And as I waited for their reply, and I could feel my backseater getting tenser and tenser, as I waited for their reply, then we got the acquisition signal. So we had been acquired by one of the most lethal surface-to-air missile systems in the world.
There's nothing average about Shannon Huffman Polson. Shannon Huffman Polson is one of the first women to pilot the Apache attack helicopter for the United States Army. Leading teams under pressure overseas while navigating resistance on and off the flight line, Shannon knows a thing or two about grit and how to inspire it in others.
I have thought of grit as a dogged determination in the face of difficult circumstances. As grit is not something that belongs to fighter pilots and attack helicopter pilots. Grit is something that is innate to every single one of us, and it's easy to access at that intersection of our passion and our focus. I want to take you on a journey into the human heart and the place that we find what we need to lead ourselves and to lead others. The place ultimately where we find that thing that I have always called grit.
Shannon Huffman Polson is passionate about sharing stories of grit and leadership with corporate audiences, bringing them into the cockpit and onto the flight line with her, and helping them reach their own potential.
Fear is just a form of resistance. And you know what we do on takeoff with resistance. We face into the wind, and we allow it to help us to rise. So when fear enters the equation, you face toward it, and you fly directly through it.
Shannon's military career demonstrates how you can break through resistance with grit.
I went to the state aviation officer to receive my assignment for the years ahead. I drove, I reported, I stood at attention, I saluted, and he asked me to sit down. And then he talked to me about a couple of the aviation units that were around the state of North Carolina at the time. And then he stopped, and he looked at me, and he said, "You realize, cadet, that you will never fly an attack aircraft." This is a picture of our graduation from flight school. It's one of my favorite pictures because the front row are the honor grads, and I made very sure that there would be a skirt in that front row. Thank you. So what do you do when you face your own doubts? You believe yourself to be better. And when you face other limitations from other people, believe yourself to be better.
As a veteran with an MBA, Shannon's experience leading teams at a Fortune 500 company further equips her to empower corporate audiences with keys to successful teamwork and leadership.
One of the things I know from 8 years in the military and the time in the corporate world is that leadership does not have to do with your rank or your position or how many direct reports you have. Leadership has everything to do with a decision to lead. Owning and understanding your own sense of purpose gives you that place of strength and that place from which you can maneuver. And it is absolutely the first step to do as you become a leader. But once you find your purpose, you put it in the crosshairs and you never take your eyes off of it. Leadership is a sacred trust. And leading, and again, we've discussed that you are a leader when you have decided to be a leader. A leader's most important responsibility is the care for her people. It's not the mission accomplishment, and it's not sticking to the vision. It's taking care of your people. Every single time we launched that helicopter with only 2 people, there was a team that was a part of that launch. And as a leader, you understand that a team is how things get done, which is why you have to start by listening first. Good military leadership is about owning it and earning it. The Army leadership model is to be and then know and then do. And this is the doing, is that a leader takes responsibility. You've got to take care of your people when they can't take care of themselves. And I knew that there was a kernel of truth in that, and I knew that I had failed. And in the face of that failure, I still needed to immediately be able to go back and lead my platoon and to be able to go and fire that gunnery. And that is the most difficult place I found to access that grit inside myself, was in the face of my own failings.
As a military leader, a business leader, and as an author, Shannon Huffman Polson inspires others to push through uncertainty, use grit to move beyond resistance, and lead with purpose and passion.
So whether or not there's somebody directly related to your specific role, there's always a story of somebody who has come before who has faced similar obstacles. And when you can put yourself into that story, you can borrow from them that courage and that determination and ultimately that grit. Thank you very much.